You are Locked On Heat Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, Heat fans? Welcome to another edition of your Locked On Heat Postcast. My name is Jim Greasaber. Call me Grease, and I am just getting comfy to take you through tonight's beautiful road win for Miami. That's right, in Minnesota. Nice job by the Heat. They overcome an 8-point deficit in the fourth quarter, and their defense was a big reason why in tonight's game without Jimmy Butler not playing with the sprained right ankle. Kevin Love back, Jimmy Butler out. The Minnesota Timberwolves, Western Conference finalists a year ago, on the road for Miami. This is your Locked On Heat Postcast. My name is Jim Greasaber. Call me Grease, and first things first, I just have to remind you, as I always do, yeah, and you know how I do, how much we love having you here. How much we love having you here every single day. And I don't know why the wrong thing keeps pulling up, so I'm not going to be able to read that one. But just want to remind you that we love having you here. We appreciate you being here. You everydayers, you know this, day in and day out. And I can do this. I can ad-lib this one. We would like you to know that your favorite team now has a newsletter. It's pulling up as a different piece of copy, but I've read it enough times to remember that Locked On Heat every single day can be right there in your inbox. Check it out, right? Locked On Heat right there in your inbox. And then let's see, is that going to give me the right one now? There it is. Locked On Heat daily newsletter. One stop for Ultimate Team and League coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Heat newsletter. The guys do a great job there with Locked On Heat. There we are there. And today's show is brought to you by Game Time. What time is it? What time is it? It's Game Time, baby. Today's episode sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's right. Do a little effect there. Speaking in sound bites, speaking in tongues for all we care. 95-94, the Heat with a big win tonight, and we needed a big win after yesterday's Canes debacle at Georgia Tech. But the Heat with a big one tonight without Jimmy Butler. The defense really coming alive tonight, and we got a lot of things to tell you about tonight's game. So let's get right to it. 95-94. The final for Miami tonight. And look, down the stretch, Miami overcame an 8-point deficit in the fourth quarter and 9 seconds left in the game. You're down 94-92, and we'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to how that happened in a moment. But first things first, got to tell you about the very end of that game. It's 94-92 Minnesota. So I got my ass in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? What can I do? It's all brand new. Ta-da. How you like me now? Ice Cube. But 94-92, 9 seconds left in the game. What a play call by Spo. Everybody's congested and congregated around midcourt, all right? The Heat are taking the ball out just on their side of the basket, right? On their side of midcourt, right? So the Heat are to this side, to my right, if you can kind of stay with me. The Heat are on this side of the court. Duncan Robinson's right here inbounding the ball, right there. All right, it's all backwards, so you have to bear with me. I'm not even going to try to show you. So anyway, he throws it that way to a cutting Jovic beautifully. So everybody's at midcourt. The Heat's basket's down there. Jovic somehow gets a step on his defender, breaking toward the cup. Duncan Robinson, a beautiful pass, the shot, and the foul. And it was right after a putback by Jaden McDaniels, and it was a bad job by Highsmith of not boxing out. He allows the putback. At first, it's called a foul. The Heat challenge. They overturn it. 94-92, 9 seconds left. Duncan Robinson hits the cutting Jovic. Beautiful pass, beautiful cut, incredible play call. Couple picks set there as well, including a beautiful back pick. And one thing there is Minnesota had taken multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy Gobert out of the game. He wasn't there to guard the cup. They were just trying to guard the three-point line. I mean, coaches outthink. This is why coaches are so overrated. I say it all the time. Maybe now, and with many, many instances like this, people will believe me. So Miami had a foul to give, 3.7 left. They foul Conley, and then Minnesota unable to score, man. And Conley took a deep three, couldn't hit it, and they kept the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands. And when they got it in his hands, they surrounded him. Miami with a ton of steals tonight. Great defense. Yeah, they had a ton of turnovers on offense. They were terribly cold again in the third quarter. They went 6 straight minutes without a field goal in the third. But the guts, the grit, the determination of this team, they are relentless. Everybody who's playing in this game is scoring for Miami. it's just inspiring to see. And K Love gave him a big boost tonight. Kevin Love gave him a big boost tonight, And Miami had way over 20 turnovers, way beyond their season averages. And we're going to give you all the numbers of this game coming up here soon. But first things first, we got to let you know what happened down the stretch. And, it was a tale of two halves, really, with the numbers. But what really mattered here at the end of the game is Terry Rozier with a steal and a couple of shots down the stretch. And, they were down 8 points and they just kept chipping away. And multiple times Minnesota had the ball with a chance to score down the stretch. And multiple times Miami stopped them. Now, they got the McDaniels putback. But aside from that, down the stretch, when everything was on the line and the game was to be decided, Miami cranked up that defense, deflection, steals, one shot limited from Minnesota. And, look, the T-Wolves are the conference finalists in the Western Conference a year ago playing Dallas, right? And they shot miserably tonight. They harassed Anthony Edwards. The Heat did. Terrible three-point percentage, terrible shooting percentage for the Ant-Man. Randall, same thing, and just not a good shooting night for the two best offensive players on the Wolves. And I think they really, and DiVincenzo gave them a couple of threes tonight, but I think Minnesota really made a mistake in trading Karl Anthony Towns. I was shocked when I saw that. I couldn't believe they gave him away to the Knicks like that. They get Randall in return. Karl Anthony Towns is a huge scorer. He's a defensive center. He takes the big guys out of the paint and abuses them on the perimeter. He can score 30 and 40 on a given night. And you get I just don't understand that trade for Minnesota, where they're going to get the offense from. I think they overvalued Naz Reid without him there and without Cat there. And now you got Randall and Reid and no Cat. And I don't see the number 2 option on offense for Edwards there. He's struggling with that. And I believe that for Minnesota. So the Heat with a 95-94 win, and Miami without Jimmy Butler hurt the ankle the other night in that game against where was that game? It was the first game of the road trip. It was in Phoenix. It was not the Phoenix game. It was the second game of the road trip on Friday night. Where'd they play Friday night, guys? Help me out. Denver. It was Denver. And Jimmy had the sprained right ankle. Kevin Love was a spark plug tonight. The points, the rebounds based on the minutes played were fantastic. Tyler Herro, 26 points tonight, 26 points per game in his last 5 games. Unbelievable. A lot of blocked shots for Miami, more than normal, forcing a ton of turnovers, deflections, hands everywhere for this team. And how about everybody who got into the game for Miami, minus Larson, who played 3 minutes? Everybody who got in the game scored. Only Tyler and Rozier and Jovic were in double figures. Rozier got there late with the 2 free throws, but it was really spread out. Jaquez was back tonight. He had a nice stretch. He scored 7, but he scored them all in a row in the third, into the end of the third, into the fourth quarter. When Miami hadn't scored in 6 minutes, he broke that string, that cold spell, and he scored like 5 points in a row for Miami in that stretch, and that was very nice. And in the second quarter, it was Tyler Herro scoring 7 in a row for Miami, and they were great in the first. They had a 7-point lead at the end of one. It was 27-20. And, 24 bench points for Miami in the first half. The fast break points were big time, and the three-point shooting percentage was way up there. But then in the third, it all fell to crap, man. For a stretch there, they only scored 20 points for the entire third, well into the fourth quarter. But Kevin Love with a three-point play at 7:47 of the third quarter, that broke or after that, it was 15 straight points for Minnesota. So it was Love, then the Minnesota, and then the turnovers. And Jaquez stopped the slide with a 3 at 6 minutes without a bucket. So from 7:47 to inside of 1:47. And, just a really nice layup by Jaquez to end the third quarter over Gobert, the multiple-time defensive player of the year. Then he scored to start the fourth. So the dude had 7 points, and they were all in a row for Miami at a time when they weren't scoring. So a real nice job for him and a nice victory for Miami, because everyone who played, Duncan Robinson, Jovic, Ware played well tonight, Richardson, Jaquez, Rozier, Herro, Adebayo, Highsmith, and Bam only had 9 points on 3 of 11 shooting. Not a good night for Bam. Jimmy Butler not in the lineup either, but Kevin Love had a pretty decent game based on the number of minutes he was able to play tonight, and that's the way it went for Miami. All right, still to come, we have the box scores for you. We have the team stats for you. We want to tell you a little bit more about how it went down tonight in Minneapolis. We got your player of the game. We got your turning point of the game, your final score graphic as well. And we look forward to the NBA Cup, man. The NBA Cup starts in a couple of nights for Miami. They play in Detroit, then they play Indiana at home, play Indiana again. But the in-season Cup starts Tuesday at Detroit against the Pistons team with a young superstar in the making, we think, in Cade Cunningham, and then not much else for Detroit basketball. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and then on Wednesday, I believe it's Indiana. So we'll take you through the upcoming schedule as well. This is your Locked On Heat postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, at Jim Grease _ on social media. That is GRIES on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Stay here, Locked On Heat postcast, rolling right along. And I get to tell you about one of my favorite. I love this place. I love being here. I love being a part of the community. I love getting action on the action with FanDuel. The NFL, big time today. Got the Sunday night game going on right now. Monday night, the Dolphins on Monday night tomorrow. Get ready to tackle that NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, hey, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you something you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place, and I get my Sammy Hagar on. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right there on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started today. You will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, and pumped to have you with me. The Heat with a big win tonight in Minnesota. And they beat the Timberwolves 95-94 down the stretch. They outscored Minnesota in a big way. They overcame an 8-point deficit in the fourth. Oh, yeah, they outscored the T-Wolves 27-23 in the fourth, 27-20 in the first. So, hey, that's 11 points they gave themselves in the first and fourth quarter. A little bit of a cushion there because they got outscored by 6 in the second and 4 in the third. What a close game down the stretch. Miami making the plays on defense. That's what won the game for them. Deflections, hands in the passing lanes, knocking balls away, limiting the T-Wolves to one shot. And then, honestly, some bad one-on-whatever basketball by Anthony Edwards, but not a lot of help for him. Again, they trade Karl Anthony Towns. They don't have a lot of offense left. Randall's not the guy. I just don't know what they were doing. But Miami will take it, right? 26 for Tyler. He led the way for Miami. 9 of 15 shooting, 4 of 8 from three-point land. And again, back to the stripe, 4 of 5. Got to love Tyler getting in there, getting dirty there with the 6 rebounds and 3 assists for Tyler Herro tonight, leading the way from Miami. But how about Nikola Jovic? They took him out of the starting lineup with Love back and Butler out. He'd been struggling a little bit, lost his starting spot before this, and 15 points and a +10 for Jovic with 7 rebounds as well. 6 of 11 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3 for him. And the big driving play and the three-point play late in the game to give Miami the lead and ultimately the win for Jovic. So he's a second star of the game tonight. This ain't hockey, Jim. There's no second star. Anyway, Terry Rozier, 11 points for Miami, 4 of 8. And he didn't hit a 3. He's 0 for 2, 4 of 8 from the floor. Bam Adebayo, 3 for 11, 9 points. Highsmith, 2 for 5, 7 in the starting lineup with Love. 13 minutes, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals for Kevin Love. Duncan Robinson had 8 points, 3 of 8, 2 of 5 from 3 in 17 minutes. Ware had 4 points in 9 minutes on 2 of 3 shooting. Jaquez Jr. had those 7 points in a row, but on 3 of 7 shooting, he finishes that number. And Richardson has 2. Larson didn't score for Miami. For Minnesota, Anthony Edwards had 22. That's 7 below his average, and he was awful tonight shooting. 8 for 24 from the floor, 4 of 14 from 3. Miami with a great system harassing him all night long and not letting him get into a zone or a groove by any means at all. And then you had Randall with 17, 6 of 16 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3. Yeah, you want this guy to replace Karl Anthony Towns? I don't see it. I don't feel it. I had no energy for it. But hey, if that's the way you want to roll, Minnesota, I don't know why in the world you would ever have done that. I really don't. It just makes 0 sense to me. Conley with 4 points. Gobert with 7. You got 2 guys who don't score. McDaniels maybe around 9-10 a game. He's got 9 tonight. Reed with 15 off the bench, 5 of 11 field goals. He hit 4 threes, 4 of 7. Really kept them going. And DiVincenzo with 8, couple of threes off the bench. Same with Alexander. He had a couple of threes off the bench and 12 points for the Timberwolves as well. And that's Alexander Walker on that one. And then the team stats as we roll along with your Locked On Heat postcast. And the audience surging, thank you. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit that, ring that bell so you know when we have more shows coming your way. Watch Locked On Heat as well every single day, separate YouTube channel, same podcast channel. We're free. We're available wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, you name it, all right? So Miami, they shot, what did they shoot? 44% tonight, 39% for Minnesota. The Heat, 35% from 3. The T-Wolves, 28.9. So the free throws, 11 of 13 for Minnesota, 16 of 22 for Miami. The rebounds about even. The assists pretty close. The steals just one apart, 14 and 13. Miami with 14 steals. That's a season high. Or matches their season high, I should say. Turnovers about even, 23 for the Heat. That's a lot, but they forced 20. So it was one of those games, it was hectic. It was up and down, a lot of deflections, a lot of fast-paced play. And here's where Miami really was fantastic tonight. Fast break points, getting out there in transition, man, 26-4. Their fast break points are why they won the game, because think about how the fast break points are created, right? They're created by filling passing lanes. They're creating by harassing and being in their shirts the whole night. That's what Miami did. Deflections, tip balls, one shot they limit them to. Looking at the rebounds, they did not get so badly out-rebounded. Defensive rebounds, Miami won by 6. The offensive rebounds, they got out-rebounded by 9 on the offensive glass for Minnesota. That's to be expected with a 6'9 center, even with Kevin Love back, but he only played 13 minutes. Largest lead for Miami, 12. For Minnesota, it was 8. But again, it was Miami outscoring them by 8 or overcoming the 8-point deficit in the third quarter. So there's your team stats in this game. So again, it was the fast break points, it was the turnovers, it was the deflections, the steals, and it really was the locked down defense down the stretch for Miami. Down the stretch, they literally put the clamps on Minnesota, and the T-Wolves have a problem because Conley, nobody takes him seriously as a threat to score. Gobert either. So if you have your best defensive team out there for Minnesota, you have 2 guys who can't score. And then you have Edwards with the ball. You don't have Cat anymore. You got Randall, and when he's cold, what are you going to do, right? McDaniels is not a big threat. Naz Reid's a good player when he's – so I just don't see that, and Miami took advantage of that tonight. Miami really took advantage of that tonight, and the T-Wolves are struggling a little bit at 6-4. Miami goes to 4-5, 3-2 on the road with the victory, but I just don't understand. And then he takes Gobert out on defense. He takes him out, their coach. He takes Gobert out on defense, and it makes literally no sense to me, right? Because a multiple-time defensive player of the year, including last year, he guards the rim. So Spo with a nice job creating mismatches in that situation, making the other coach think. This is where Spo is great. He gets in other coaches' heads, and then they're like, damn, Spo's going to do this. I better do this and do that. And, it's not an insult to anybody else. It's just a testament to the way Erik Spoelstra coaches the game of basketball. He's absolutely fantastic. You guys know this day in and day out. You guys follow the Heat, and he's a fantastic coach. He just is what it is. And I really enjoy watching other coaches try to match wits with Spo because they usually come out on the short end of that stick. And, I've told you guys this before. I was an intern for Jim Manish and Jeff DeForest on Sunday Night Sports Wrap in the 90s in Miami Lakes. On Sunday nights, we'd do the show, and I was the intern. I'm there all day with Andrew Kalb and Jeff Brenner. Shout out to my guys. The hosts were Mandich and DeForest. Before DeForest, it was Joe Zagacki. Anyway, it was Defo and Mandich, the Mad Dogs. So we'd always have Heat guests on that Sunday night, and I'd be the one with the car, the boss's car. Bonnie Manich's Cadillac. Shout out, Bonnie. It was a brand new STS with the North Star in the 90s. I'm driving down to Palmetto. I'll go down to pick up a tape of the Heat highlights. Guess who I would pick up the tape from, baby? And I would pick up the guests, too, driving Bob McAdoo, Pat Riley, people like that to the show. Guess who I would pick up the tapes from every week for the highlights from the Heat, from the week of the Heat highlights? Guess who would give me the tape? You want to hear it? You ready? Guess who the assistant coach was in the video room who used to give me the tapes? Are you ready? You got it, Spo, Erik Spoelstra. We were both the same age. We were both literally starving and working our way up in the world. And look where he is, man, having coached the Heatles and won the 2 titles. It's unbelievable to see the loyalty that the Miami Heat have within the organization with Mickey and all the way down. And, it's Mickey and his son. And it's incredible with Pat Riley, the culture they've created. It's not the people. So many people have, like Eric Reed, Tim Donovan, people I've known forever. They've been with the organization from day one. And even like Rob Wilson, who got there like 4 years after they started, or even 10 years. I don't remember with Rob, but people who work for the Heat work there forever. It's the culture. It's the type of organization and environment that everybody wants to be around, and you can see it on the floor. But Spo is the catalyst of all that now. It's been passed down from the Godfather. You know what I'm saying? Spo learned from the greatest, and now he's there. And just to watch him decimate these coaches in these situations is dope, man. I love watching Spo do his thing. You're watching Locked On Heat Postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, still to come. We got the player of the game. We got the turning point of the game. Oh, baby. And we got the final score graphic. All the numbers going to fit tonight, too. Going to be unbelievable. Also, don't forget, tomorrow night, 2-5 Miami Dolphins with the season on the brink. Everything they planned on and dreamed of and all that money they shelled out, everything on the line right now. They go to play the Rams in a very similar situation. They got their receivers back. The Rams do with Kupp and Nakua, and the Dolphins finally with Tua and Tyreek and Waddle and all those guys and Mostert and Achane, all those guys healthy. So tomorrow night we'll be here right after that game. Dolphins, Rams, 9:15 Monday Night Football right after that. Tuesday night Heat at the Pistons in the NBA Cup. Bunch of those games this week as well. We're here every night after the Heat games as well. You're watching Locked On Heat Postcast. Plenty to come when we wrap it up on the other side right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. And I have one question for you. Tell me, what time is it? What time is it? It is game time, baby. We all love going to games. The experience is unparalleled, being there in person, watching the greatest athletes in the world do their thing. And it's not just sports, it's concerts, it's comedy, it's all sorts of things as well. And that's why I love game time, because it takes everything out of it. And what I mean by that, all the hassle, all the headaches, everything we used to deal with. No more waiting in lines, no more sitting there and going to will calls, no more trying to get things mailed to you. No. You go in an app called Game Time and you look at your seats. You look at the view from your seats right there in the app. You see everything you're going to see in that building that night with that setup in the app. That is absolutely unbelievable. And that is only one of the incredible features that Game Time has going on for you right now. And it is unbelievable when you think about it, because there are so many events and so many things that you could do, all in pricing, no surprises at the end. You get the seat views, lowest price guarantee, or you get 110% of the difference in a credit. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. And of course, you have Game Time picks. You put in the parameters. The curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Why? Because they're only going to show you, based on the parameters that you put in, what you want. They're not going to waste your time with all that other garbage that you couldn't care less about. And right now, how about this with Game Time? We're literally coming up on the first edition of the tournament, Choque de Gigantes. It'll take place at Lone Depot Park from November 8th through the 10th, featuring the top league teams from Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. Game Time is offering 10% off on Choque de Gigantes tickets. The duration of the deal runs now until November 8th. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, wrapping it up here on your Miami Heat postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, 95-94. The Heat beat the T-Wolves, and oh, baby, we got a couple things to get in for you now. We got the final score graphic. We got the player of the game. We got the, well, if our system will let us upload it. Sometimes it's a little wonky here in StreamYard. Apologize for that. Come on, the upload is taking too long. It stops it after like a half a second and says the upload is taking too long. But, you know, these things sometimes happen. Yeah, we got two of them going. Two of them going at once. Look at this. Nope. I spoke too soon. We got one. And we got another one. Look at this. We got this. Down the stretch we go, baby. Down the stretch oops. A little bit too much there. One more to throw up here for you, and then we'll wrap it up. There we go. All right. So, again, 95-94, the Heat overcome an 8-point deficit in the fourth quarter. A beautiful steal and finish with the two free throws for Rozier. Tied it at 92. And then Jaden McDaniels follows Leonard Conley's miss. Did I say Leonard Conley? Mike Conley Jr.'s miss. Mike Conley Jr.'s miss and gets fouled, and then they reverse the call on the foul on Highsmith. They said he didn't foul him. So McDaniels put back, and if it weren't for the putback, Miami stifled every possession from Minnesota. They challenged the call. It's 94-92, 9 seconds left. Everybody's congested around center court for the Heat. They're going that way to the bucket, and for some reason they take Gobert out. Jovic with a beautiful cut. Robinson a beautiful feed. The layup, the foul. Minnesota doesn't score on their end. Beautiful defense by Miami with Conley missing a three. And the Heat win 95-94. All right, let's take a look at the graphics that we give you at the end of every game, and then we'll get on out of here on your Locked On Heat postcast. First things first is the final score. 95-94. I don't know why the top one's smaller than the bottom one, but 95-94 at Minnesota Timberwolves. Look at that stifling defense by Highsmith. Every time Anthony Edwards touched the ball, he was hounded, he was harassed. Highsmith, a big part of that tonight. Ant-Man struggled from the field. Miami's defense, beautiful job. They stifled him. They stifled Randall. He was 7 points below his average, Anthony Edwards. And down the stretch, when they were looking for big shots, the Heat took Edwards away completely from Minnesota. So great job by the defense right there. The moment, these are the moments I thank God when I'm alive. Right there, they overcome the 8-point deficit in the fourth quarter. Look at Bam, look at Tyler. Everybody's surrounding Anthony Edwards, the Olympian, the next superstar, the next version of Michael Kobe, whoever you want to anoint him as. Yeah, not tonight, baby. Not tonight. And finally, it has happened to me right in front of my face. Here you go. You ready? Star of the game. We need a hero. Tyler, 26 points again tonight, averaging over 25 in his last 5 games. Did it slowly and steadily. Had a nice burst in the second quarter to give the Heat a nice little comfortable burst and advantage in that second quarter that they would need as things got weird in the third again for them. They've got to figure out this third quarter stuff, guys. I'm going to leave you with this. You got Detroit in the NBA Cup. Miami would love to win the NBA Cup. Miami would love to put some wins together, especially home wins, so you don't end up in a play-in type of situation. We don't know how long Jimmy Butler's going to be out. He's day-to-day. We're all day-to-day. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Jimmy B is not going to be, I don't think, available on Tuesday. I'm not 100% sure. The Locked On Heat guys will have that for you every day. And, by the way, the newsletter, check it out as well, the Locked On Heat newsletter. And you'll be able to find out from those guys, as well as, look, we have Locked On Dolphins, Locked On Canes every day with Kyle and with Alex. And then the postcast, remember, tomorrow night, the Dolphins are playing at the LA Rams, Monday Night Football, 9:15 kickoff. We'll be live right after that with the postcast as well. And then the Heat all week long in the NBA Cup, baby. Next week, the Canes off. Dolphins play on Sunday. Going to be a busy, busy time for us here. Locked On Sports Miami. And then, of course, wherever you get your podcast. So the Heat, they break a losing streak tonight. They get a nice win. A 3-game skid is over for Miami. 95-94, they beat Minnesota. The defense wins it down the stretch. Tyler Herro, 26 points. Jimmy Butler, day-to-day. They won it without him, and it was a total team effort tonight, especially on the defensive end. But everybody who got in the game except one scored for Miami, and almost all of them had big buckets or stretches of the game where they helped carry the team, including the returning Kevin Love. Nice to see K-Love out there. Next up Tuesday at Detroit. We'll be here right after that one with the postcast. Until then, Miami, keep your game tight and your mind right, baby. 95-94 Heat. Jim Greasehopper. Call me Grease at Jim Grease _ on social media, GRIES. We'll talk to you Tuesday on the Locked On Heat postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day.